Hi, everyone. Life Coach Carissa here, back with you today to talk about an extremely important concept that can be so life-changing. Do I say that every time? But really, so many of these concepts are so life-changing. This concept has been so instrumental for me in going after things that I wanted to improve in my life, and for understanding where my negative emotion was coming from. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing all about the sentences that run your life. I'll ask you to think about yours, and I'm going to share some of mine, and I'll give you tips for how to be more mindful of this. So I talk a lot about thoughts, right? How are thoughts different from sentences? They aren't necessarily, but I think that looking them in this way is so helpful. It gives you a different way to look at this whole concept, and maybe it will resonate with you more when we're referring them to sentences. Thoughts can feel kind of like heavy and something like that we don't have control over. And I feel like the term of sentences feels like something that you are in control over. So again, I talk a lot about thoughts. When you think something, it creates your feelings, and then your feelings lead you to take actions. And those actions is what creates the results in your life that you're getting. But again, I want to look at this from a different angle. Sentences. Sentences are a set of words that can hold so much power and energy in your life. Okay, so the first step that I always say is awareness, right? So are you aware of the sentences in your mind? Have you ever thought about this? I never had. As you go through your day, you'll hear these sentences in your mind. Do you pay attention to them? Can you pull yourself from your subconscious enough and ask yourself, like, is this sentence helping me become the best version of myself? Those sentences in your brain can, of course, be positive, negative, or a mixture. And, specifically in regards to the negative ones, which are unfortunately a large portion, thanks to our primitive brain that is constantly scanning to keep us safe from harm. But we'll say these sentences in our own minds, and we would never dream of saying these to someone else, especially someone we care about, right? They could be sentences that we have been repeating for years, or maybe they did begin more recently, right? So I never used to pay that much attention to these sentences, but I know I had them and I often believed them. I used to think that those sentences were like my inner wisdom or my voice of reality. Those sentences created a feeling in me, an energy, a vibration in my body that ultimately guided what actions I was going to take from that feeling. So I want you to be thinking about what your sentences are. I'm going to share some of mine, my old ones and my new ones that I'm working on, making more prevalent and more top of mind. And, you might be asking, why would I even want to do this? It just sounds like work. Because having these desired thoughts be top of mind creates an energy in me that's positive, right? When I am actively choosing them, and that guides me to go after what I want more of in my life, the way that I show up in the world, the way I want to show love to myself and others. These sentences don't always match up with what you really would choose to have more of in your life. And that's what I want to show you. Okay, so here are 5 of the many repeating sentences I had in my head that I remember clearly that I would have on repeat. Okay, 1, I'm not a good mom. I've screwed up. I'm stuck in this job and there's nothing I can do about it. I am not enjoying my life. I am not as smart as others because I didn't attend college. I am afraid of networking and talking about myself. Those were 5 biggies. Again, I had so many, but those were 5 that I can just remember were having such a negative vibration in me. I'd wake up every day thinking these types of thoughts, and they would just pop up. on any random day, any random time, or maybe they would pop up when I was getting ready to take an action, and that action would directly suffer because of these sentences. They were on repeat. I now see how these sentences were driving the routine actions I would take each day. And those actions were often not a positive energy because I was feeling so crappy about myself. They didn't take me where I wanted to go. They took me farther away from it. For example, when I listen to that sentence, I'm not a good mom, I've screwed up, can you feel the heaviness in that? So, of course, that sentence would lead me to compare myself to other parents, judge myself, shame myself, feel like a failure. I would just want to give up and just think poorly of myself. I failed. So, how do you think I showed up in my actions? I showed up with so much negative energy because I had already condemned myself as a bad mother. Or the sentence of, I'm not as smart as others because I didn't attend college. How do you think that helped me run a small business, attend meetings all over the country with my peers, transforming a printing company to a marketing organization that was making an impact? I noticed where I would be working so hard to overcome those sentences in my head. But if I would have just been myself, you know, noticed that I had all the good stuff that I needed, I already had it all within me. It didn't matter. I was already living it. But that one sentence would make me feel like I was not worthy. And I believed it. I worked harder because of that sentence than I even needed to. And no one told me that. It was something I created. So, new sentences that I have created in my life more recently are, I am confident and ready to make a difference. I love helping people. I love who I am, all of me, even the good and the bad. I love my history. It made me who I am today. And I did the best I knew how at the time, and it was good enough. What do you think when you hear those? I hear compassion, love, confidence, and someone who is ready to go after her dreams and not be afraid of doing it wrong or not knowing everything yet. I will tell you, my life dramatically changed when I changed that one sentence of, I am stuck in this job, to, I am meant for something more. And I owe it to myself and the world to figure out what that is. So, so powerful for putting me on a different trajectory. Okay, so those are some examples of my sentences. I hope you've been thinking about what are yours. But ultimately, where do you start with all this, right? So step one would be to start paying attention to these sentences. Ask yourself if they're positive or negative. Just start with that one piece. What is the percentage of negative and positive sentences in your brain? Do I say, I hate Mondays? Do I say, I hate this weather? Or do I say, Monday is no different than any other day? Or Monday is a fresh start that I get each week? I would have to say my former self was 80 to 90% negative. It feels crazy to even say that. I almost don't want to believe it, but I remember where I was, and that really is truly where I was at. Somehow I thought the negative sentences were facts that I had to overcome. But I see now they were just sentences that I had repeated over and over again to create a well-worn neural pathway in my brain. Nothing more. So step two, I want you to get curious about these sentences. I want you to write them down. That really is the most productive, because something, just happens when you don't realize the weight and magnitude that these sentences can carry until you see them on paper. It just looks totally different when you look at what you wrote and you ask yourself, do I like this sentence? Do I believe it? Is it factually true? Do I even know where this sentence started? Can I trace it back to where it began? So I want you to write those sentences down. And you can do that sometimes just by journaling your thoughts, right? Having a daily thought download, dumping out all of the junk that's in your head, and start looking for those sentences. And you might start to see patterns where the same ones pop up day after day. And then step 3, I want you to ask yourself, for each of those sentences that you're looking at, would I fight to keep it? If I could erase this sentence from my mind, would I choose to, or would I choose to keep it? If you answer yes, that you would want to get rid of it, then I want you to tell yourself right then and there that you are not going to repeat this thought any longer. You are officially sending it a breakup letter. And when it tries to sneak back in, because that is what our brain is, it's very sneaky, you are going to remind it that you are a person that no longer thinks that about yourself. And step 4, I want you to get very curious and explore what sentences fire you up in a good way. What would you tell your best friend to think about themselves? Make those your sentences. Write them down. Put them on Post-it notes around the house. Have them pop up on your phone or watch. Live into them. We tend to prove these sentences in our mind true. So ask yourself, if I have the ability to create what these sentences are in my life, what do I want? Because when you have a sentence in your mind, you think it, you feel it, and then you act it, which ultimately creates the results you get in your life. So what result is it that you want to create? Practice those new sentences. All right, did you write down the 4 steps? You can do this. It is not hard. It just takes you being intentional. So what type of energy do you want as you go through your day? The low energy that you're working to bring yourself out of, or maybe that you're giving into and finding ways to buffer to feel better? Or do you want that positive high energy that can lead you to taking more action than you even thought was possible, making a bigger impact in your small world or the bigger world that you thought, than you thought was even possible? The fact is, the less positive that I am with myself, I limit my contribution in the world. I don't want that. Do you? You just think that this is the way life is. I am here to tell you that is not true. With a little bit of intention, you can change what feels heavy to you. All right, I'm going to leave you with this. What are your sentences? Write them down. Look at them. Do you like them? Would you fight to keep them? What do you want them to be? Practice those thoughts. Repeat those thoughts. Make them a habit. Sentences are optional. Choose them so they can be for you and not against you. You will be so much lighter and better for yourself and the world if you choose your sentences. Okay, everyone, that is what I have for you this time. Thank you for listening. And as always, please click that little subscribe button for my channel, and please click the like and share if you really enjoyed this content. You can be a big part in my being able to reach even more people that could benefit from learning these emotional management tools. All right, everyone, I will see you in a couple weeks. Have a great day.